We'll call to order the Board of Commissioners meeting for Douglas County, Nebraska for Tuesday, December 16th, 2025. Please note that a copy of the Open Meetings Act is located on the north wall of the Legislative Chamber alongside an automatic external defibrillator. Please stand for the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, before we jump into Douglas County Board of Equalization, my colleague, Commissioner Morgan, wanted a quick moment of personal privilege.
Thank you very much, Roger. Appreciate it. Commissioner Garcia. First of all, I feel very fortunate, lucky to be on this board, but I wanted to take just a moment to tell you that what I'm really lucky about is having my wife Annie for over 43 years. And today happens to be her birthday. So I wanted to wish her a happy birthday because I know she watches and gives me instructions of what to do and not do here at the board. So thank you for this opportunity. So happy birthday, Annie.
Happy birthday, Annie. And Commissioner Borgeson?
Happy birthday, Annie. Unfortunately, my news isn't as happy as that. I got word that you all remember Ross Stebbins from our corrections, who headed the union for very, very many years, has passed away. And so please keep him and his family, especially during this time of year, in your thoughts, because they're having a rough time. Thank you.
Definitely will. Thank you. With that, we will go ahead and jump into equalization. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Borgeson. Commissioner Kavanaugh is absent at the moment. Commissioner Fahey. Here. Commissioner Friend is absent today. Commissioner Morgan. Here. Commissioner Rogers. Mr. Chair.
Here. First item of business are items A and B. A being the approval of the minutes of the Board of Equalization meeting held Tuesday, December 9th, 2025. B is a call for a meeting on set Tuesday, January 6th, 2026 as date for hearing on certified assessment corrections reflecting the addition of omitted property to the tax rolls or increased value on property. Do I have a motion and a second?
So moved.
Motion by Morgan, second by Rogers. Please vote.
Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you. Next, we have item C, which is a protest item, and it is a protest of rejection of homestead exemption for Cynthia Lepeltz at 3530 South 90th Street in Omaha, Nebraska. And Mr. Assessor.
Good morning, Commissioners. Mike Goodwillie, Douglas County Assessor's Office. This one has a bit of a history, if you'll bear with me. This property had been in homestead for several years because it was owned by Dwayne and Annalise Lippelt. Okay. Dwayne died in 24. Annalise died in early 25. And in her will, she had a trust for Cynthia, who is their daughter and had lived in the home or has lived in the home for a number of years. The first application we got from a couple of things about homestead. One is the applicant needs to be the owner on or before the 1st of January. And second, there are some time deadlines to apply, which are mandatory, written in terms of the statutory shall. Those of us who have been afflicted with going to law school, you know, one of the things they teach you about statutory construction is shall is mandatory. But in any event, after Annalise died, it took some time to get through the probate process. And eventually, I think this fall, Cynthia became the owner and promptly filed a homestead exemption application, I think in October of this year. Our office sent out a denial letter because it was late in terms of filing. That was kind of the low-hanging fruit. The other issue that's floating around here is an ownership issue, and that is that Cynthia didn't own the home on or before January 1st either. Nonetheless, they filed the application. We sent the letter out to deny, and I think Mr. Lawrence is here, the attorney that filed the protest, and I'm sure he'll want to say a few words. I would add this, should you grant the protest, and I've said this to Mr. Lawrence too, is that I suspect potentially two things will happen. Either the state will withhold reimbursement for the homestead tax loss, because homestead isn't free for nothing largesse. The state pays the counties and the political subdivisions to make good on the taxes they're foregoing. Or they will exercise the power they have in the homestead statutes and deny the application themselves, meaning they would send Cynthia some sort of notice, and then there would be a hearing process that they would have to invoke, probably down in Lincoln. And with that, there's not a lawyer in the world that doesn't want to speak on something, so I think the floor is yours.
Thank you, Assessor Goodwillie.
Did I leave anything out? Mike, okay. Huntington. Why do I call you? I call you Lawrence.
That's okay. That's okay.
My bad.
You do a lot more than I do.
Have at it.
Okay. Good morning. Thank you, members. Mike did a good job of explaining the details. I'm here on behalf of the LaPelt family. Cynthia is the current resident and the beneficiary of a trust, a testamentary trust. Mike is correct that she wasn't technically the owner at the time. The will was executed prior to the January 1st date, and under the terms of the statute, she is a qualified claimant. So we filed this on behalf of Cynthia with the hope that we could. It was late because of the deaths and some extenuating circumstances. Didn't know if there was going to need to be a probate to get everything handled. We did figure out that was the case. So we got through the probate, and we got Christy, who is here as well, who is Cynthia's sister, appointed personal representative. She is also the trustee of the trust on behalf of Cynthia. She is over 65, and as Mike had mentioned, Dwayne died in December, about a year ago, almost exactly a year ago today. Annalise died in late February, and given the unique circumstances, we thought it would be appropriate to file and ask for reconsideration. And if the board doesn't mind, I'd have Christy come up and just give a few words.
Good morning.
Morning.
This would really be life-changing for my sister.
Chris, sorry, would you mind state your name for the record, please?
Christy McClellan. I'm Cynthia's sister. And she has had a lot of hardship in her life and has always been a low-income earner. And, my parents, of course, worried about her when they passed, who was going to take care of her because she never married and doesn't have children. So that falls on me. And it's just hard to talk about because my father died yesterday, a year ago. But I just want you to know how important this is for our family. Thank you.
Thank you for being here. With that, I'm going to go to Commissioner Borgeson.
Thank you for being here, and I'm very sorry for your loss. And I totally understand how hard it is. And my question is, sir, what was your name again?
I'm sorry, Terrence Huntington from Fraser Stryker.
Could you come back up for a second? I'm sorry, what was your name?
It's Terrence Huntington. I'm from Fraser Stryker.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry
And you made the comment at the beginning that the will or the trust was enacted before January, is that correct?
The will, so there was a will, and that the will was effective before then, and there's a testamentary trust in the will.
In the will?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And for Mr. Goodwillie, I understood that this property had the tax exemption for previous years, that,
Yes, Commissioner, while it was in hands of the record owners, Dwayne and Annalise.
Yes.
then I would make a motion to grant the homestead exemption.
Motion by Borgeson to grant the exemption, second by Morgan. Further discussion on that motion?
So you totally understand, I'm sure your attorney will say this much better than I, but just be prepared that this has to go through another hoop, if you will, of approval, and that's at the state level. But from this level, that's the motion, and we'll see once the vote's taken, but that it's jumped this hurdle for you and your family.
Any other comments or questions on this matter? If not, we do have a motion and a second, which is to approve the homestead exemption. Please vote.
Motion passes 6-0.
Thank you. We'll proceed on our agenda here. Next, we have our resolutions D through F, which we can take in block plus adjournment if desired. Motion by Rogers, second by Morgan to approve the resolutions and adjourn. Was there any comments or questions on resolutions D, E, or F on equalization? If not, we'll vote.
Motion passes 5-0. Commissioner Fahey stepped away for the moment.
Thank you. That concludes equalization. We'll now go into Douglas County Board of Corrections. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Borgeson. Commissioner Kavanaugh. Commissioner Fahey. Commissioner Friend is absent. Commissioner Morgan. Commissioner Rogers. Mr. Chair.
Here. First, we have approval of the minutes of the Board of Corrections meeting held Tuesday, November 18th, 2025. Do I have a motion and a second? Motion by Rogers, second by Morgan. Please vote.
Motion passes 6-0.
Thank you. Next, we have our report from the Director of Corrections with Director Myers.
Good morning, Commissioners. Michael Myers, Director of Corrections for Douglas County. You have before you the Board of Corrections report for November of 2025. In enclosure number 1, Administrative Services and Personnel. Following the 5th month of the fiscal year, we are $855,561 under budget. As I typically do, I point out that we have some significant expenditures regarding projects that will be underway during this fiscal year. $291,084 were spent on overtime costs in November. This is a reduction of around $45,000 from the previous month. Over $800,000 in bond payments were processed by our records division. 3 officers below the rank of sergeant left employment in November. 13 cadets graduated from our training academy on November 21st. And as of November 30th, we were 100% staffed across all correctional officer ranks. Enclosure number 2, Community Corrections and Reentry Services. The Sanction Center and Transitional Discharge Center placed a total of 8 individuals in community corrections, saving a combined 55 bed days. Work release admitted 33 individuals. House arrest admitted 44 individuals. The Reentry Assistance Program, or RAP, admitted 15 individuals. Reentry services and therapeutic communities in the jail. There were 69 individuals admitted to therapeutic community housing units. There are currently 108 individuals on the GED waitlist, and there are 68 active students. A review, which our coordinator of our educational services does this every 6 months. A review of incarcerated individuals aged 22 or younger revealed that 55% did not have a high school diploma when they became incarcerated. So obviously there's a very high correlation with young people becoming incarcerated and not finishing their high school education. 16 individuals were referred to the intensive outpatient treatment program, and 27 individuals received substance use disorder evaluations, not and pretrial services. There were 242 individuals placed on pretrial release in November. A total of 1,564 individuals were supervised on pretrial release over the course of the month. 658 individuals participated in the 24/7 sobriety program. 175 individuals were supervised via GPS monitors, saving theoretically 3,939 bed days, translating into, a theoretical savings of $669,630 in detention costs by using pretrial release. Enclosure number 3, compliance. Our regular reporting of all compliance-related data continues. Our Prison Rape Elimination Act actually already did happen. It was during the first week of December. We expect to receive our written report sometime next month. The National Commission on Correctional Healthcare, NCCHC, audit will take place in 2026 at a date to be determined. And our American Correctional Association audit will occur in October or November of 2026. Turning to enclosure number 4, population. There are 1,279 admissions, and there are 1,220 releases. Our high count for the month was 1,149. Our low count was 1,069. Our average daily population was 1,138. That is an increase of 29 over the previous month. And I'll make note, we have, as you've heard me say throughout this year, we've been trending up. Admissions have been up. We are probably at least 150 to 175 people higher today in custody than we were this time last year. The average length of stay for inmates released in November was, the overall length of stay was 27.6 days. 50.1% of inmates stayed longer than 72 hours, and their average length of stay was 54 days. 49.9% of inmates were released within 72 hours, and their average length of stay was 1.4 days. There were 112 custodial sanction bed days. The U.S. Marshal population average increased from 67 to 78. The average pretrial felony population was 777, a minor increase. The average daily misdemeanor pretrial population was 132, which is a very slight increase. Probation violations increased. 20% of our population were between the ages of 18 and 24. 66% of our population were minorities. 16% of our population were female, and 19% of our population are homeless or nearly homeless. Turning to enclosure number 5, medical and mental health. There are 1,032 intake screenings and 357 health and physical assessments. There were 23 emergent medical care transports, 9 of them by 911. Those resulted in 4 hospital admissions and a total of 17 days of hospitalization. There were 31 off-site specialty appointments. There were 129 initial psychiatric assessments and 314 initial mental health assessments. 93 individuals were placed on suicide precautions, and 170 individuals were placed on drug or alcohol detox protocols. There is 1 Board of Mental Health referral approved. There are 15 individuals waiting for the Lincoln Regional Center, and there are currently 25 individuals at the Lincoln Regional Center. 2 individuals were administered a total of 4 doses of either Narcan or Opfi. And turning to enclosure number 6, security operations and our honor guard. Our crisis negotiation team was deployed 4 times in November, 2 times for individuals who were refusing to attend court, and 1 time for a medically mandated shower, and once for an individual who broke a fixture in a cell and had injured himself. All of these incidents were resolved without the need for physical force. Our CERT, Correctional Emergency Response Team, conducted their quarterly training in November over the use of the pepper balls gun as well as the wrap restraint device. CERT was deployed 6 times in November. Issues addressed included medically mandated showers, refusal to attend court, and a potentially dangerous situation where a mentally ill individual broke a sink and had both sharp and blunt weapons as a result. During one deployment, an inmate suffered self-inflicted injuries. No other staff or inmate injuries were reported. There were 9 searches conducted. Recovered items included altered batteries, a screw, a piece of metal, hoarded medication, and a piece of paper which tested positive for methamphetamine. Our honor guard presented colors for our academy graduation and our lasting legacy award ceremony. The following staff injuries occurred. There was 1 staff member who was assaulted, 5 staff members who were injured during use of force incidents, and 10 who were injured during training. Most of these injuries were minor and consisted of pain or discomfort that did not require medical attention. A few did require short-term light duty, and 1 person did suffer a knee injury which may require surgery. Enclosure number 7, staff development, wellness, and retention. There were 103 applications for correctional officers received, and 20 interviews were conducted. 13 cadets did graduate our academy on November 21st. TAP, the Tactical Athlete Program, our 4-day training is ongoing for all custody staff. Non-custody staff will receive a 1-day self-defense focused version of TAP. We have reached the halfway point in training all staff on TAP. Policy updates on TAP and Strategic Inmate Management, our SIM, are ongoing. We are currently working to build out our January Academy class. 7 of our staff members were referred to external mental health resources, and we will be launching a new leadership training course for our supervisory staff. I believe that's probably for the late first or early second quarter of 2026. Other noteworthy items: we have begun to have operational planning meetings for our mental health edition, which will open in late 2026. We are covering topics to include staffing levels for custody, medical, and mental health staff, training and selection of staff, even looking at staff uniforms, reentry resources, and the daily routines and programming, and a host of security-related topics. DCDC honored our staff who are also military veterans with a variety of activities and recognition throughout the month of November. We are very proud of our staff who have chosen to serve both their country as well as the Douglas County community. And lastly, we had our second Lasting Legacy Award ceremony on November 13th, where we also unveiled the permanent display honoring the awardees. Lasting Legacy honors former employees of DCDC who made it a better place. The award is open to all ranks and roles. The group of inductees included Sergeant Clarence Curry, the late Sergeant Sam Ross, Officer Arthur Cooks, Lieutenant Ernie Black, Lieutenant Dan Stangl, Sergeant Leonard Corbett, and Sergeant Michael Barnes. Nominees must have worked for DCDC for at least 15 years and left employment in good standing in order to be considered. Our next induction ceremony will occur during Corrections Week, in May of 2026 and will occur annually thereafter. We are grateful to have had the opportunity to honor these wonderful individuals. With that, I'm ready for your questions.
Thank you, Director Myers. Want to go into discussion? Well, starting with Commissioner Kavanaugh.
Thanks for this, Mike. Just some of the metrics that we usually touch on. So we have an average daily population of 1,138 for the preceding month, which is up 29 month over month, a little bit of a tick up. What I was kind of looking for, and I guess this would be on or about page 40. We have this population history going back a year, and maybe in January, if you could give us a 24 to 25 comparison. It's difficult based on this because it goes back a year, but that doesn't give us a year-to-year comparison. And although we had, some decent numbers in the last year, it appears, just based on the graph here, that we're edging up a little bit. We were a year ago at 956, and this month is 1138. That could be anomalous. That could be a month. If we had a year-to-year, we could see, the gross numbers, and that tells us a lot. If we could see that in January, that'd be good.
We'll do that, sir.
Average length of stay of 27.6 days, which seems to be not too much.
It's
up or
pretty
down.
consistent from month to month.
With 50% over 72 hours and about 50% under 72 hours. We still have a troubling majority-minority figure of 66%, with by far the largest group of African-American individuals. And again, this is not your responsibility. You take who they bring to you, but it's troubling in our community that the African-American population, month after month, year after year, is way out of whack with the numbers in our society. We have a 43% African-American population of the correction center and maybe a 15% African-American population in Douglas County. That's just, like I said, very troubling. The page, I think 48 and 49, well, this starts with page 19, which is release to therapeutic community. And I'm looking basically just to start on this, we might have to come back on definitional therapeutic community, a definition of therapeutic community. So if we're releasing people to the therapeutic community, there are client release summaries there, but that's, bonded out's not the therapeutic community.
So those are, that number at the bottom of that page, those are the number of people who requested to come into one of our therapeutic communities, not people who were released from them.
Okay, so they would still be incarcerated?
Yes, we have currently 5, soon, I hope 6 separate housing units that we kind of specialize programming for different populations in.
Okay. Then on 48 and 49, well, 25, 48, and 49 deal with different subsets, I guess, of people in need of some type of therapy. 25 deals with people, which is an enormous number with mental health issues and substance abuse issues. But the numbers represented here are just people, in programs, not in the population.
That's correct.
We'll come back.
Thank you. Let's go to Commissioner Borgeson.
Mike, on the GED, that's the first time we'd actually reviewed that, right? Of those younger?
We have, but she does that every 6 months.
Every 6 months?
Yes. So it's been a while since you've heard it.
Okay. Do we do it as total, like for all incarcerated individuals, and then see what that number is?
I will bring Heather Robinson to my next Board of Corrections meeting. She takes a lot of initiative to do things that we never used to do.
Yeah, she's really good.
And so I feel like I'd be speaking out of turn or kind of outside my scope of knowledge to know why she targeted that age group. Some of it may have to do with she focuses a lot on working with people and trying to hold the school systems accountable because up through a certain age, I believe 21, maybe it's 22, if they had an IEP, they're entitled to services, and she pushes that issue quite hard.
And maybe when she comes, she can also, because I can't remember the reasons or the explanation as to why the GED program was changed from what it was to what it is. And then if, because of those changes, I assume it would be like the State Board of Education that makes those changes?
Yeah, well, I was actually in this wheelhouse when those changes were made, so I can't explain that. So this, going back several years now, so GED is kind of synonymous with, an alternative to a high school diploma. However, it is actually just a company name. And in Nebraska, it is the only state recognized model. There are others. In Iowa, they recognize more than one being the high set. GED themselves changed their program several years ago, going from a paper and pencil, fill in the dot scan test to an online testing center. They made the testing more rigorous than what it was before, which isn't a bad thing, but it did, and it made it. It sometimes makes it more difficult for people to complete their GED during the course of their incarceration because that increased level of rigorousness that they need to achieve. However, one advantage is it is portable. Since it's all online based, their results can go with them to Metro or to wherever it is they want to go in the community. We also allow people who have been in community corrections to continue to come back into that classroom when they're released to complete their GED. At the CJC, so it basically was just an update or a modernization of what GED did, and because it's the only recognized program in Nebraska to get an alternative to a high school diploma, that's the choice we had to follow.
And is there, that you know of, a review that's been done as to the comparison of what it was to what it is? And what I'm worried about is that our numbers tanked, with the number of people being able to take the GED. And to me, that's a hindrance to those individuals that then leave our facility and try to find a job or whatever. So I just wondered if maybe you all knew about a review.
I don't know of a wider review other than I can tell you that our numbers, based upon the constraints we have of being able to offer it just while people are incarcerated for the most part, our graduation numbers did decrease quite a bit due to the changes in the GED, the structure of the program itself.
Okay. Thank you. We'll come back.
Let's go to Commissioner Fahey.
Thanks, Director Myers. Regarding the CERT quarterly training, can you just touch briefly on the utilization of pepper balls in the correction center?
I'm sorry, could you say
Can you explain to us briefly the utilization of pepper balls in the correction
sure.
center?
We've actually never used them. Our emergency response team trains for scenarios that we hope never happen, but we need to be prepared in case they ever do. This would be more of a large-scale riot sort of a situation where if we've had a takeover of a housing unit, we might have staff who are hostages. It'd be one of those extreme scenarios that thankfully we haven't had happen, but we do want to know what we're doing if it ever does. And so that would be the only time that a scenario like that where we would deploy that.
That's extremely helpful, so thank you. Is it, who would make the ultimate decision on deployment? Or I guess let me back up. Is there, is what you described like memorialized in policy anywhere? Or
yes, we have a use of force continuum, a policy that's quite lengthy that details the use of all of our what we'll call intermediate weapons.
Sure. All right, thank you. That's helpful.
We'll go to Commissioner Kavanaugh.
Thanks. Back to these categories, Mike, of mental health and substance abuse, where we have noted on page 25, it looks like a couple categories that may have entered some type of programming.
Yes, so what this is tracking, these are only people who were released during the month of November. So these aren't
Released from custody.
released from custody. So these are people who worked with one of our reentry specialists, or basically our case managers or social workers. They had a plan that was mutually created with the individual and the reentry specialist. All of these graphs kind of in this area, or a lot of them anyway, are related to how people have done on their plans. And you can see, basically there'll be a goal of, improving access or
Right.
improving mental
So
health.
just right there on the substance abuse category, we have, for instance, in the last month, November 25, 7 people, these are apparently released with no progress. 8 people partly completed, and 15 people completed. So this release population of 30-some was about half completed, and then the rest ran out of time. One of the things, and we won't go into this today, but I want to talk to you about is the level of treatment there. So, for substance abuse, traditionally in the community, like a 30-day inpatient treatment is kind of the standard for best results. And in light of the fact that we have a 72-hour turnaround on 50% of the
Right.
people, we're not getting to 30
No.
days. But what treatment are we giving them? And without that, we have regular 12-step meetings in the facility.
Yes,
Yes,
there are. There are
Okay.
12-step meetings. There are
and
a
these
lot
people would be in that.
They most certainly could be. And we also have what's called an intensive outpatient program. We have one that we just celebrated the 10th anniversary of in community corrections
Okay.
a few months back. And we have also one in the jail that's maybe a couple of years old.
Right. Considering we might have close to 50% in the 1,000 population with some type of a substance abuse question, these numbers would be in the hundreds, and we're dealing with this, smaller number. In the new year, we might want to come back to this and see if we can maybe bulk that up, and with space available in the facility, maybe even dedicated space to substance abuse.
And you hit on one of our biggest challenges.
Yeah.
Is our classrooms are full
Right.
all day, every day.
Right,
And
right. But we have mod space that maybe we could utilize. The other question is on page 39, and this is just for public consumption. There's an indication that our average number of inmates with an ICE detainer was 75 this month of December.
Correct.
13 were turned over to ICE custody. Explain to me what category are these ICE
Sure.
detainer?
So I want to make very clear, everybody who is in our custody is in our custody because they've committed a criminal offense or are accused of a
In
criminal
Nebraska,
offense.
charged by a local law enforcement
Correct.
agency.
So ICE has access to our, who our inmates are. I mean, it's a public record. And
I'm going to cut Commissioner Kavanaugh's second term out, and then I'll jump in with a 4-minute so that you can finish.
okay. So ICE will contact us and say, we're interested in this individual. So what
Okay,
we
so
will,
we're not turning over a list of our 1,000 people to ICE on a regular basis.
well, that's who's in our jail is public record, so they can get that. And so they if they have somebody who they're interested in, they may come down and do an interview. They may and
Okay, so how is ICE receiving a list of our inmates?
it is on our. I mean, it's on our website. You can go.
So any citizen could go to the
any
website?
citizen can see who's in our custody.
And so ICE will identify an inmate
Correct.
and say, we want to, what?
They indicate that they have an interest in him. Our level of cooperation with ICE is we will tell them the date that the individual is going to be released. And so we will, and sometimes we know that in advance and sometimes we don't. But when we know
Yeah,
somebody's-
sometimes you don't know. Mostly
Right.
you don't know.
So we will, when the person's being released, and if we've told them the release date, we give them a time frame and say if you would like to talk to this individual or take them into your custody, you have until this time of day to come get them. Otherwise, we're releasing them.
Thank you for that clarification. We will keep going here in the queue. We're going to go to Commissioner Borgeson.
Thank you. I just had one other question, which I will write the date down this time because I ask this every time.
Sure.
When will the reports for the pretrial be released as a report out to us?
Yeah, we have, that is like a more in-depth data. That is really close. I will bring I'll bring a couple of guests next time. I'll bring Justine Wall as well, because she's been the one heading up the conversion to the new data system. And as far as there's a report for the media that's been delayed several times that will be hopefully will air this week, which will have some interesting
week?
data. This week, I
Oh, this
believe,
week.
but I've been told that before.
So that's fine. I can never remember what date you've told me, but again, you know as well as I do why it's
Yes,
important
correct.
that
Absolutely.
information get out there and as soon as we possibly can.
Absolutely,
Okay.
yes.
Thank you.
Go to Commissioner Fahey.
Question, but regarding on ICE or any immigration hold or any detainer, when there's somebody who's, for example, charged with a felony, at what point do they then get handed over on immigration matters? Is that after they're adjudicated?
When their criminal case, when we no longer have an obligation or the ability to hold somebody due to their criminal charges, is when they would get turned over to another entity.
Thank you.
So all individuals will finish their criminal case first.
Thank you. Other questions or comments from board or public on the corrections reports? If not, we'll go ahead and conclude. Thank you, Director Myers. And I'll take a motion to adjourn Board of Corrections. Motion by Rogers, second by Morgan. Please vote.
Motion passes 6-0.
Thank you. We'll go ahead and jump into Board of Commissioners roll call.
Commissioner Borgeson, Commissioner Kavanaugh,
Roll call. Kavanaugh.
Commissioner Fahey, Commissioner Friend is absent, Commissioner Morgan, Commissioner Rogers, Mr. Chair.
Here. First item is Section 1A and B. A being the approval of the minutes of the Board of Commissioners meeting held Tuesday, December 9th, 2025. B being the approval of claims submitted for payment process through Tuesday, December 16th, 2025. Do I have a motion and a second? Motion by Morgan, second by Rogers. Please vote.
Motion passes 6-0.
Thank you. Next, we have our consent agenda, items A through L. Do I have motion second for discussion? Motion by Morgan, second by Rogers. Any comments or questions on the consent agenda? Commissioner Kavanaugh?
Yes, just for the public record. Item L, a resolution approving a collective bargaining agreement with the Health Department Employees Association Union, representing covered non-supervisory employees with Douglas County Health Department, covering a period of January 2025 through December 2027. And we've done this before on collective bargaining agreements. If you could give us, Marcos, kind of what's the percentage and what's the dollar increase of this contract, that'd be good.
Commissioners, Marcos C. Martin, Douglas County Administration. So the labor agreement that's before you, that is for the HDA, that's the Health Department Employees Association. That group is a non-supervisory group that's under Dr. Hughes. It's about 100 or so employees and about 30 or so classifications, and they're all non-supervisors over there in the health department. Commissioner, so ballpark. So this group is getting a 3% increase for 2025, a 3% for 26, and a 3% in base for 2027. Retroactive pay for 2025 at a 3% under that group of employees. I believe the ballpark is right around $200,000 in retro pay alone. That doesn't include our benefits. Our BTS ratio is about 38%. So that would your base about $200,000 of retro pay plus 38% for benefits. I think that's kind of the ballpark you were
Sure.
or info you're looking for.
I know, I understand. It's difficult. So it's 3%, 3%, and 3%.
That's right, for 3 years, for those 3 years, 25, 26, and 27.
And maybe our finance director can help us out on the dollar amount. Here's what we're paying now, and then here's what the increase would be. Do we have an idea?
Yes, give me 1 second, Commissioner. I can bring this up. I actually have a chart here.
The 200,000 plus benefits is 276.
I'm sorry?
The 200,000 plus benefits is 276 that he just discussed a minute ago.
So, I mean, just so the public knows, we try to let you know every time we're concluding one of these contracts, what the percentage increase is. And just coming in today, I heard that the Labor Department had released their figures on compensation, which have gone up 3% over the last year. So it generally seems to be in the ballpark of what the national trend needs to be. And then the dollar amount.
Commissioner, so what I guess what I can report is, so your retroactive pay for 2025 is about $200,000 of that's just salary base retroactive pay. The following year for another 3%, it's going to cost about another $210,000. The following year will cost another $215,000. So that's through 2027. So you could look at it as aggregate as about $630,000 of increases. You could look at it cumulatively as 1.2 for the contract itself, but it adds about 200 to 215 per year, that 3% year over year.
I appreciate that. Thank you. That's all.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments on consent agenda? If not, we'll vote.
Motion passes 6-0.
Thank you. We'll proceed in our agenda here and get to some patient guests that have been waiting for a recognition here. So Section 5, recognitions and proclamations. We have items A, B, and C. Under item A, we have a recognition of county employee who is retiring. We have Mr. Paul Schmitz, who worked for Douglas County Corrections Department for 34 years. And so we're going to kick it off with Director Myers coming up and then hear from others as well.
Good morning again, Commissioners. Michael Myers, Director of Corrections. Before I get on to talking about Paul, I also wanted to echo Commissioner Borgeson's sentiments at the beginning of the meeting about the passing of Ross Stebbins. Ross was a leader in our department for a good many years. He retired a few years ago, unfortunately didn't have a long and healthy retirement. So our condolences to his family and his corrections family as well. Moving on to Paul. Paul is one of the first people you get to know when you work at corrections. Paul has been the tool and key sergeant for the majority of his service since 2003. There is little, if anything, that's more important in a jail than keys. And so they all have to work. The repairing of the locks, I mean, we have a facility that's been built now with the new addition will have built in 4 phases, if you will, over the course of 5 decades. And there's a lot of wear and tear. Corrections facilities get used hard 24 hours a day. There's all the need for repair, the need for maintenance is never ending. But that's not the most important thing about Paul. Paul is one of the, it's hard to work for 34 years in corrections and greet everybody with a smile and to have a positive attitude and just bring joy to a place that sometimes it's hard to find. This is a very bittersweet day because I wish for all of our employees to have long and healthy retirements. They worked in a dangerous and difficult profession and they deserve it. But I'm going to miss Paul. He's a pretty special person. He's contributed to this department tremendously, and I'll miss the positive, upbeat outlook that he brought to work each and every day. So with that, I will read the resolution. Whereas Douglas County, Nebraska recognizes that its employees are the county's most important asset and resource for providing quality service to the citizens of Douglas County. And whereas the county wishes to recognize Paul Schmitz of the Douglas County Department of Corrections on his retirement and dedicated service of 34 years to Douglas County, Nebraska. Therefore, be it resolved that this Board of County Commissioners of Douglas County, Nebraska, that the county recognizes Paul Schmitz for his dedicated service to the citizens of Douglas County, and this resolution as testimony thereof, dated the 16th of December, 2025. And I have a plaque from our Corrections Department, which I will read. Paul Schmitz, Corrections Sergeant. He served us from January 23rd of 1991 and his last day will be December 31st of 2025. In appreciation for his 34 years and 11 months of dedicated service, the Douglas County Department of Corrections would like to congratulate Paul Schmitz on his retirement. We wish you a happy retirement with sincere appreciation for your dedication, loyalty, and distinguished service. Congratulations and best wishes.
Thank you. Well, I don't know if I can beat those words of what Mr. Myers has said. It all started in, December of 1990. I was looking for a job, got out of college, still going to college. A friend of mine who was a Douglas County deputy said, you should go work at the jail. He said, it's a good spot to start out because I wanted to be a police officer, And I said, oh, okay. So I went over there, started at $6.90 an hour, I think it was. That was a lot of money, So things the first year I was like, oh my God, what am I doing here? I got to quit this job. I can't do this. But it got better and better. And the money got better and better and better and better. And now I'm making a lot. Thank you very much to you. I appreciate it. And to, there's a lot of people I'd like to thank, first of all, my family for supporting me, my wife, my kids, my parents, everybody through the years. I tell you what, it's just been wonderful. My dad always said, make it best of every day. That's, why get mad? It's not going to change nothing. But I know my coworkers have seen me get mad before, just because I try to defend everybody that was in there. When we're working on a lock, if inmates are saying something to my coworkers, I want to stand up for them. So, but back to being a correctional officer, it's nice when you're at Walmart or Target and an inmate or an ex-inmate, our client, comes up to you and says, hey, thanks for listening, And I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, you always listened, no matter what. no matter what. And that makes me feel good. I've never had an issue with any person down there. I've always tried to talk it out of it, you know. And today, for instance, there's a run going to the penitentiary, and the guys are knocking on the door at me, and they hit, hey, Schmitty. My nickname is Schmitty. Schmitz, obviously. And the one guy goes, yeah, you're still here? I said, yeah. He goes, I said, you're still here. He goes, yeah, I know. I got a year left. No big deal. But he goes, hey, thanks a lot. You know, I said, I'm jamming my record today, too. He said, and he goes, you know, thanks for being here for me, and I appreciate it. So, yeah, I like I said, God had a mission for me, and I thank Him every day. I was very blessed because, you know, with the things that go on at home, I was easily able to leave when I had to go home, and I appreciate that. The people up here at the Human Resources, wonderful working with me, getting FMLA to take care of my stepdaughter, whatever, you know, so wonderful, just wonderful. So I thank everybody, the medical department, training department. Let me tell you, when training started, when I got trained, I wore black pants. They said, show up in black pants, white shirt. 2 days of training, I was in a housing unit by myself with a white shirt, and I didn't even have a uniform on. You know, it was crazy. The tremendous training has started from the very beginning to now is just unbelievable. Unbelievable. So I thank everybody, all the commissioners, for what you do. Mr. Myers, Amber, everybody. Leon, my captain, a wonderful supervisor, wonderful. Deb, everybody. Training department. I can't, you know, I keep going on and on. I am going to work. I am going to be a locksmith in the Council Bluffs School District.
Nice.
That was the other thing I want to thank you for sending me to school. So it does help. So, oh, and if you ever need pictures taken, I'm here for you. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, yes. Don't go too far. Let me get a few comments here, and we'll make sure to take a picture with you as well.
Yes,
let me
sir.
go to Commissioner Borgeson.
I just want to thank you for your years of service, and everything that's been said by Mike is just a ditto. But one of the things that I think a lot of people don't know about you is because of the length that you have been here, I've watched you grow and become an absolute employee model for corrections. And again, it's with that smile and that laughter. And you told me a long time ago what your daddy told you, and you have lived by that. And you are making every day the best, not only for yourself, but for everybody that we see coming into the facility, and as well as your coworkers. So again, just thank you so much, and I wish you the best of luck in your new career.
Right, right.
At some point on your retirement, because you deserve it. So
I appreciate
thank you
that, Commissioner.
very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll go to Commissioner Kavanaugh.
Smitty, congratulations, man.
Thank you.
I was just looking at this, and this is 34 years, but it's 34 corrections years, man. It's like dog years. It's way, way longer. And there aren't too many people who can achieve that and achieve it as well as you have. Your humanity and your humor mean the world to people who are in bad shape, locked up, say, for the holidays or whatever. And doing that over time is a huge contribution to our community. You're an excellent example of public service. Thanks very much.
Thank you. You know, I told him today, the one individual was going to Lincoln, and he said, you're always, you know, easy to talk to and stuff. I said, listen, I just didn't get caught. I wasn't a very good kid growing up. I just outrun the law a little bit more.
Thanks, buddy.
In a small town.
Enjoy your retirement.
Let me go to Commissioner Morgan.
Schmitty, thank you very much for not leaving after the first year. They probably gave you a 20-cent raise, and you decided, hey, now it's worth staying.
Right.
But thank you so much for the 34 years.
You
Really,
bet.
you've got an unbelievable attitude, and maybe you should be running for political office.
No. No. Too many skeletons in the closet. I was in the military too, you know, so there's a lot of stories out there. It's not good. So, I appreciate it. I appreciate you taking on the political office for me and stuff. And I would love to vote for all of you but it can't because I live in Iowa. Sorry.
I know I had a motion from Commissioner Borgeson. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Morgan. Let's go ahead and vote on that recognition. Make it official.
Do a picture.
Motion passes 6-0.
Very good. And let's get a picture.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate it. Take care. Jeff, I'll see you around in my service to you. Great attitude. Thank you. Yep, if you need to let me know. Thank you.
All right. We're going to continue on our agenda here. We had two other recognitions or proclamations. For item B, we had a recognition of a county employee who is also retiring, Velma Chavez, I might pronounce that wrong, my apologies, who worked for the Douglas County Health Department for 33 years. I don't think Velma is here, is she? No, very good. But we're going to go ahead and thank her for her service to the Douglas County citizens for 33 years of service. Do I have a motion second for that one? Motion by Morgan, second by Borgeson. Go ahead and vote.
Motion passes 6-0.
Thank you. And for the final recognition or proclamation, I will toss it to my colleague, Commissioner Rogers.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I mentioned this last week, and probably in an hour or so, Ms. Ruth Thomas's funeral will be happening at Zion Baptist Church in North Omaha, and I'll read the resolution and go into detail. It says, whereas it was with great sadness that the Douglas County Board of Commissioners learned of the death of longtime Omaha resident Ruth Patrick Thomas, who passed away on December 5th at the age of 105. And whereas Ms. Thomas, maiden name was Hillman, was born in April 1920 in Lincoln, Nebraska, the oldest of three sisters. And whereas Ms. Thomas graduated from Lincoln High School in 1939, and then from the University of Nebraska in 1943. And whereas Ms. Thomas married Mr. Francis Edgar Thomas on November 29, 1943, and moved to Omaha, Nebraska. Whereas after discharge from the U.S. Army in 1945, Mr. Thomas joined his family's business, the Thomas Funeral Home, along with his brother, Wendell Thomas. And whereas nearly a decade later, Mrs. Thomas enrolled in the College of Mortuary Science of St. Louis and graduated as the only female and only African American in her graduating class, and afterward joined her husband as a licensed embalmer and funeral director at the Thomas Funeral Home. And whereas throughout her service as a longtime funeral director, Ms. Thomas guided many North Omaha residents and families through grief, tragedy, and loss. And whereas Ms. Thomas also served her community in various other roles, becoming the first Black member of the Omaha School Board in 1973. And later on, Ms. Thomas served as director of the North Omaha YMCA, and sat on the board of governors of the Metropolitan Technical Community College, which is now Metro Community College, and also served on the board of directors for Charles Drew Health Center in North Omaha. And whereas Ms. Thomas's legacy has been built on community service and leadership, and included among many honors, she has been bestowed throughout the years as the NAACP Freedom Fighter Award, the Diamond Membership in the Delta Epsilon Omega Chapter of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority, and the Exorbitant Foundation's Court of Honor in Business Industry Award, to name a few. And whereas Ms. Thomas will be warmly remembered by her Omaha community and will undoubtedly continue to inspire the next generation long after her passing, Now therefore be resolved by this Board of County Commissioners of Douglas County, Nebraska, that this board hereby commemorates the life, contributions, and legacy of Ms. Ruth Patrick Thomas, and does hereby formally extend the board's sincerest sympathy to her family and friends. And I move to approve.
Motion by Rogers, second by Morgan to approve.
And I'd just like to say in closing, her funeral is today, her wake was yesterday, and her, she is probably one of the iconic figures and families in North Omaha. She'll be missed, but she leaves a great legacy behind.
The board sends its condolences. Thank you for bringing that, Commissioner Rogers. We'll go ahead and vote.
Motion passes 6-0.
Thank you. We will proceed to our presentations, of which we have two. First, under item A, we have a presentation and update on CashVest 3+1. I will toss it to Commissioner Borgerson for that one.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Tyler, for being here. On an annual basis, I think it's important for the board to hear from CashVest 3+1 and the positive impacts that our partnership with them has had on the county of Douglas. So I've invited Tyler, and he's graciously accepted to be here through kind of crazy travel times, but here to tell us about the good news of our partnership with CashVest 3+1 and our hopefully continued partnership into the future. So Tyler, I'll hand it over to you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Good morning to you all. Really appreciate the opportunity to be here. We've been actually partnering with Douglas County since 2020. We are partnered with the National Association of Counties, NACO. They are bringing the CashVest program to counties all over the country, and we're honored to say that Douglas County was one of the first counties in the state of Nebraska to take this initiative on. And for those of you who may not have heard of CashVest or 3+1 before, we are here to provide new resources and data to help make cash and investment management decisions so that no matter where interest rates are, you can confirm that you're earning and saving the most possible on your taxpayers' cash. And this is one of, the most enjoyable parts of my job, because it's not often that we get to stand in front of a board of commissioners and showcase everything you and your finance team are doing for the taxpayers. So we just wanted to take a moment and thank you for your partnership and your business, and also provide a brief update on where we are today from a cash and investment perspective. 3+1 is not a bank. It's not an investment advisor. We don't actually manage deposits on behalf of Douglas County. We want to be an extension of your team, and we give a lot of kudos to the Treasurer's Office. Treasurer Kavanaugh and his team are doing an outstanding job for you all, and this data is really helping take Douglas County's cash management to the next level. So looking at data through the end of November of 2025, we wanted to give a brief update on where your cash position is today and how it's changed over the last year. So approximately $496 million in total cash and investments by the end of November. This is an increase of about $63.8 million from the prior 12-month period ending 11/30. And for the last quarter, September, October, and November, balances were up about $106.1 million. Now, this isn't all liquid cash. Most of this cash is in invested accounts and working for you all to preserve and protect revenue, no matter where interest rates go. But overall, Douglas County's cash position has been strengthening over time. Looking ahead into 2026, we do forward forecasting on the county's total cash position. and it's estimated to be approximately $36.7 million higher between now and the end of May on average. You'll notice that the green line on this chart is the forecast line. That is in most weeks above where your balances were last year, represented by the purple line. And the flat black line that all of these forecasts exceed is what CashVest identifies as your strategic liquidity. So this is cash that our data has identified could be used to earn and save more on, whether that's in a liquid investment account or fixed term options. In a changing interest rate environment, finding that particular mix of keeping cash liquid and available so that you can operate on a daily basis, but also making sure that we are protecting and preserving that revenue amid changes in the interest rate environment. That's where this data has been very helpful. So how do we get that strategic liquidity number? Well, we look at every single transaction that flows through Douglas County, and our stress testing models are able to identify each dollar's time horizon. So from the moment that you collect a tax dollar to the moment that same tax dollar is spent, how long is it available for? What is its duration capability? And then pairing that with what is the marketplace willing to pay for it. Part of the CashVest program is sharing peer benchmarks with your banking providers and investment providers so that we can ensure that you have a copacetic banking arrangement and that you're getting the most bang for your buck when you're making investment decisions. Just in 2025 alone, about $57.8 million more was put to work in fixed income. Really great timing since we've recently seen some interest rate adjustments by the Federal Reserve. So that has, just on some recent CD investments, protected about $52,555 more that would not have been seen had we just kept the cash liquid in the bank. Another item that we monitor is bank safety. Taxpayers want to know that their cash is in a protected account at an institution that is safe and has a good outlook. So we have implemented the Veribank rating system. It's an independent ratings agency that measures banks' strengths from their balance sheet, what their future outlook is, so that you know when you're putting cash in a particular provider, it's going to be safe and you can count on the ability to pull on it if you need it. So your main banking partner, First National Bank of Omaha, has the highest bank rating that Veribank offers. We also are benchmarking Douglas County across the country. As I mentioned, you're the first county in the state of Nebraska to implement the CashVest program. We're now working with Lancaster County, the City of Lincoln, Eastern Nebraska Office of the Aging, and Region 6 Behavioral Development Corporation. We want to make sure that we're keeping ourselves honest, and we're also making sure that you all see value and can show your stakeholders and taxpayers that you're doing everything you possibly can to maximize taxpayer cash. So we look at 5 components of your overall cash and liquidity strategy. And overall, your CashVest score is an 87 out of 100. That is really solid compared to counties across the country. And just over the last 3 months, you generated about $6.7 million in interest. Over the last year, about $25.2 million, all realized on a cash basis. And I'm actually going to switch to a different document just for a moment.
Yes, please.
So just to help memorialize what the benefit to Douglas County has been since we started working together a little bit over 5 years ago in 2020, Douglas County has realized approximately $11.5 million in new additional revenue and savings that would not have been realized otherwise without the program. And again, we just want to thank you for taking a chance on the CashFest program 5 years ago, because we're really excited about the benefit that it's provided. And no doubt, as the marketplace changes, as the county changes, we are here for you all, and we want to make sure that you continue to maximize the value of your taxpayer cash. And again, $11.5 million over 5 years is really exciting, and you all deserve all the credit for that, in addition to the Treasurer's Office and the great team over there. And I know Lori is here as well. Thank you, Lori, for your service. It's been really impactful. Marianne, I don't know if you wanted to add anything. The last thing I'll say is our agreement is due to be extended at the end of this month for another year. And we really look forward to partnering with you all in 2026. We love coming here and giving an annual update, so we hope we can do that again next year. But really open to any feedback and questions that you may have. So thank you so much for your time this morning.
Thank you. Commissioner Borgeson?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Tyler. This is, again, one of those where ending the year on such good and positive note is exciting to me. And I have to also extend my thank yous not only to CashFest 3+1, but to Mayor Ewing, who at the time when he was our county treasurer, and Jane Alexander and Addie Fisher from the treasurer's office, they really took the leap with us when we looked at this to say, you know, this is pretty much brand new, we're not sure, but let's see what we can do together. And Treasurer Ewing at the time actually went to, which some of us are on our way to, is our annual state conference out in Kearney, and really got the state involved in looking at it to help other counties. And so his leadership, and again with Addie and Jane's help and continued support, again, $11 million is something to tout, and we couldn't thank you enough for the partnership. And of course, Lori coming on was, she gets it. She embraced it when she got here. And again, I just want to thank everybody that's been involved in this to, again, be able for us to come back to the board with such positive feedback from CashFest 3+1. So thank you, Tyler, for being here.
Thank you. Let me go to Commissioner Morgan.
Tyler, thank you very much. What, just roughly, not exactly, over the 5 years, what would that percentage be, you know, of the 11 million of earnings? Somewhere over 6% or something?
Of the total earnings that the county has
Roughly,
generated?
When you look at percentages.
Yeah. It would be, since we started working together, the county has generated about 78 million. So percentage-wise, we're approximately 15%.
Wow. That's pretty amazing over the 5 years.
Yeah.
I mean, really amazing. I happen to be on the pension board, luckily, with Lori Persh, and that's pretty amazing. So thank you for what you do.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Any other comments or questions on this presentation?
Larry Storr, 5015 Lafayette Avenue, Omaha, 68132. We're coming up on our anniversary, 250th year of the Republic. The Founding Fathers designed bodies like this for the citizens to be able to hold their government accountable. This is our primary contact at moving through upward to the federal government also. Concept of federalism. Well, you know, we citizens do not necessarily authorize you to use our tax dollars to hire people like National Association of Counties to do your work, to follow their recommendations, what you call their best practice. We don't get to vote on that, and we should. So I'd like you in the coming year to put less reliance on outsiders helping you to do your job and listen to us and citizens that live here. It's our tax dollars. We don't authorize you to hire outsiders. We authorize you to use our citizens and work for us, not with or for the National Association of Counties, National Association of this, National Association of that, and all the best practices. So please, return to the concept the Founding Fathers had for the shared responsibility of government. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Borgeson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I should probably just let this go, but I'm not going to because I'm not ending this on a negative note. Merry Christmas to you, Larry. This is, again, what this body is supposed to be doing is how do we and what do we do to make sure that we are being fiduciary responsibility with our tax dollars for the Douglas County citizens. And this happens to be brought to us by and through our national association that has helped counties tremendously across this country, and people like Tyler and his group, CashFest 3+1, who are amazing people, wonderful people that work with counties in the manner in which is appropriate and, again, very positive. So I, again, want to end on a positive note with this great news that we've been able to see since the fruition of this program, and will continue to bring and tout the positivity of the program and what it's done to the taxpayers, I hope, for many years in the future. So thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else on this topic? If not, we'll go ahead and conclude the presentation. Thank you again for coming. Appreciate it. We do have a second presentation, item B, a video presentation thanking the Douglas County Board of Commissioners for its recent donation to local food banks. We have Leah and Jake who are going to help us here.
Yep, and then we can just well, you can maximize over here. Thanks. And then hit X on that. Oh, good. And then not yet, yeah. Okay, well, okay.
Good morning, Commissioners. Leah Baez, Douglas County Communications Director, and my colleague, Jake Buckingham. He's our Digital Communications Specialist. Our job is really to tell the stories of the county, the work that we do, and the impact that you all have as a board. And so when we heard about the board approving the funding to go to food banks last month, we knew that this is a story we wanted to tell. Because mainly we know you don't always hear directly from the people you impact, the impact that you're making. So with that, we'll just show this video.
We want to say a very, very special thank you to the Douglas County Commissioners. Your support was critical with the delayed SNAP and the shutdown from the government. You've already helped us serve over 6,000 people. And one of the biggest things that we saw at the beginning of November is families were so concerned because they didn't have SNAP benefits and they didn't know how they were going to feed their families and provide Thanksgiving. So thanks to your support, we were able to buy a bunch of extra turkeys, and starting on November 4th, we began giving turkeys out to every family coming through because so many families were concerned about that. So thank you for not just helping families be able to take care of their kids and provide food, but for helping provide Thanksgiving for families in need in our community. We truly, truly appreciate how you stepped up to help families in this community.
Hi there, I'm Lenley Corbett-Kuntz, CEO and President of Saving Grace Perishable Food Rescue. On behalf of our board, staff, and entire team, Thank you so much to the Douglas County Board of Commissioners and the community for making this necessary and needed investment in the work that we're doing every day to help serve neighbors in need. Thank you so much. At Saving Grace Perishable Food Rescue, we're focused on putting common sense to work by rescuing and redistributing a resource that already exists in our community. Excess perishable food, high quality food exists. Oftentimes the default for excess food is landfill, and we want to change that narrative. We're committed 5 days a week using a network of refrigerated vehicles to pick up excess perishable food from a network of food donors and deliver it to almost 50 nonprofits serving neighbors in need. This high quality food helps to fill nutritional gaps. It helps to provide meals to neighbors, and we're so thrilled to be able to continue to make investments in this necessary work. When our neighbors are fed, the entire community benefits. And that's really where this impact happens, is because it's neighbors taking care of neighbors. And we're so grateful to be part of that work. It's a powerful testament to the pride we have in our community that groups are stepping up together to be able to make these investments. The Douglas County Board of Commissioners, working in tandem with organizations serving in neighbors in need, are making a direct impact every day. Thank you so much for your generosity and for helping to make our work at Saving Grace Perishable Food Rescue possible.
Hello, my name is Rick Berger. I'm the Chief Development Officer at the Heart Ministry Center. The Heart Ministry Center is extremely grateful to the Douglas County Board of Commissioners for the generosity extended to the Heart Ministry in support of our mission to provide food, health care, and a way forward for people severely impacted by poverty in Omaha. We deliver on that mission by adhering to core values including compassion, community, accountability, and excellence. And our mission starts by getting people in to the Heart Ministry Center to provide them with basic sustainability with food. Our hope is to help provide them with what could be making their day better to actually eventually getting to having a better life. Our Fresh Start Job Training and Placement Program is a very intensive 18 to 20 week program that helps individuals who may be coming out of incarceration, leaving abusive relationships, or just dealing with recovery to find a path to really having a true fresh start. In our pantry, in fact, as part of that Fresh Start training, our Fresh Starts work there where they learn to develop those skills to show up on time, to have a good attitude, to work on a team, to be part of a team and lead. We could not run our pantry and provide service to the community members we do without their hard work while they're going through the training program. We're very grateful to the Douglas County Board of Commissioners for their generosity in helping the Heart Ministry Center deliver on our mission.
Hi, this is Brian Barks, President and CEO of Food Bank for the Heartland. I'd like to thank the Douglas County Board of Commissioners and residents of Douglas County for their commitment to helping us fight hunger. This funding comes at a critical time and will be used to purchase much-needed protein items such as chicken, beef, and tuna. These nutritious items are often the first to be cut from a family's budget due to their high cost. Right now, 1 in 7 Douglas County residents, including 1 in 5 children, is facing hunger. Thousands of children, families, seniors, and veterans are facing impossible choices and an uncertain future. But thanks to the community support, we are able to provide nourishment and hope. On behalf of our team and the neighbors we serve, thank you for your support.
So just thanks again for that. And that's all we have. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Lee and Jake, for helping to put that together. We did have a comment from Commissioner Fahey.
For putting that video together, for highlighting the work that these food banks are doing. I do want to just take a brief minute to thank this board for providing that assistance. I want to thank Commissioner Rogers for having the idea and the chutzpah to make it happen. And I just think I'm coming up on my first year of service on this board, and 2 years ago, I left a pretty comfortable job with people I like because I wanted to run for this. And I often say that we on this board, when people ask me what I like about it, we get to do the dirty work of government, which I really need to find. I need to rebrand that, how I phrase that. But the truth is, like, we're on such a granular level, and that's why I enjoy working with all of you so much, and getting to pass this assistance and just provide such direct assistance to people in need at a really dark time was really rewarding and meaningful for me. And you know, I'm glad we could do it unanimously as a board. I thank our chair for making it happen too. I thank Commissioner Borgeson for always putting people first. I thank Commissioner Morgan for caring about people. I thank Commissioner Kavanaugh for always thinking about people and speaking vociferously on their behalf. So thank you, everybody. It was an honor to get to do that with all of you. And thank you guys again for highlighting the great work that they're doing.
Thank you. We'll go to Commissioner Kavanaugh.
Thanks for this. Could you make sure that we get a copy of this, send that to my email? That'd be great. Thank you.
Yeah, we plan to post it on social media, on our website, and we'll send it a link to all commissioners.
Yeah, send it to us each. That's fine. Thanks.
Perfect. Thank you again, Lee and Jake. Appreciate it. Oh, sorry, Commissioner Borgeson.
I just wanted to add, not only thank you for the video, but thank you too for the work that you do in, again, highlighting our community organizations that assist those less fortunate than us. I think a lot of times, well, not a lot of times, I think lately, those less fortunate than us are getting a bad rap. And that makes me sad because our job is to care for our neighbors, as they said on this video. And just thank you for doing what you do to be able to bring those that are helping those in our community that are hurting, and shine some good light on the things that are being done for them in our community. So thank you.
Yeah, and
for
thank
your
you
work.
again to the board for this donation because it has made an impact, and that's really what we wanted to show you through this video, the direct impact that you're making. So thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. All right. We will move forward here. Next, we have our public hearing items, of which we have one. Item A is a continuation of the December 2nd public hearing to permit ongoing discussion and the presentation of testimony regarding the proposed revisions of the 26-27 Department of General Assistance and resolution authorizing the county board to approve, ratify, and adopt the Department of General Assistance guidelines as amended effective January 1st, 2026. So we are going to continue this public hearing and welcome back Director Seawick.
Good morning, Commissioners. Melissa Seawick, Director of Douglas County Department of General Assistance. This is a hearing continuation from the December 2nd public hearing intended to allow for continued discussion and testimony regarding the revisions and our proposals for the 2026-2027 department guidelines. Just a reminder, the proposed revisions are intended to better align with program statutory intent and other general assistance programs. The proposals maintain minimum health and decency standards, prioritize individuals who are medically disabled, and reinforce the county's role as the payer of last resort. Proposed guidelines establish clear and consistent pathways for assistance by distinguishing between medically disabled individuals and those who are able-bodied. Individuals with a verified medical disability remain eligible for ongoing assistance as long as they are following through with their Social Security application until it is approved. Individuals who are not limited by a physical, mental, or behavioral health disability are capable of gainful employment will be eligible for up to 3 months of assistance annually. Refining eligibility criteria allows us to better allocate limited resources and increase the maximum shelter assistance available. This proposal also includes an increase of our shelter assistance from $800 a month up to $850 per month. As I've previously shared, current funding levels are not sufficient to sustain the program under our existing guidelines. Based on the current projections, even with savings in other areas of our budget, the program cannot be carried through the remaining fiscal year without additional funding. Our program is deeply aware of the significant needs within our community, particularly among the low-income and unhoused individuals, and these recommendations have not come lightly. We recognize the value of our program, and we take great pride in the work we do for the community. However, given the fiscal restraints that we have and in absence of additional funding in this fiscal year and future fiscal years, changes are necessary to preserve the program for those who have no alternative support. Even with these updates, our program will remain the most robust in the state of Nebraska and potentially the nation. For these reasons, I respectfully request that you guys adopt and approve the proposed 2026-2027 guidelines that are available and have been presented to you. I'm here for any questions, and I know that there are people here to speak as well.
Thank you, Director Seawick. Let me start with the board, and then I'll go to the public. Commissioner Borgeson?
Thank you, Melissa. Is there, I know it says in state law that we're to review these every 2 years, right?
Yes.
Is there anything in state law that prohibits us from pausing for a little bit to do further or more extensive review of the guidelines than what we've done as a board, not you? You have brought this to us, and we appreciate all the work that you and your staff do. What I'm struggling with is, to me, we should be reviewing these like for 3 to 6 months, not 2 weeks. And so is there something that we can do to, like, do we have to wait the full 2 years, or can we say, we're not going to approve these until, is there anything in state law that allows us to do that?
I would ask Teresa. Well, from what I know and have read, I would say we have to do something every 2 years, but that doesn't say that we can't come back and go through this entire process again anytime between this guideline review and the next. So I think we can do additional guideline reviews, but at a minimum, it has to be the 2 years. That's how I read it.
And that, to me, that's a good, again, I'm going to go back to talk about what's happening in our country and at all levels, federal, state, and local. And we're okay. I mean, we have for a number of times increased our budget when it comes to the criminal justice system, but we have not, in my opinion, looked at or done enough in our general assistance or health and human service arena, if you will. And to me, my original amendment was going to talk about increasing that 3-month to 6-month. Commissioner Fahey and I had a short discussion about the lifetime limitation. But again, I'm not feeling, for whatever reason, as comfortable as I think I should be in the review of the guidelines with the big, to me, that's a big change from what we've done in the past. I know you came to this board during budget time and requested additional funds, and you didn't get what you said you not wanted but needed in order to continue the program throughout this fiscal year. So I'm wondering if it's worth, and Commissioner Fahey, I probably should have asked you this before today's meeting, but whether we can just stay as is. What's the repercussion of that, and can we have the next few months as a really good review for the board, and then come back with some amendments or alternative ideas to give you as a director and staff when it comes to the guidelines. So,
so can I, if I can?
Let me conclude Commissioner Borgson's time.
yeah, that's,
Okay.
I'll have a motion, I think, once the discussion is all done.
Okay. Commissioner Fahey?
I'll really respond. I know Commissioner Kavanaugh's ahead of me in the queue, but just to respond directly. So I think, and I would appreciate if Teresa tells me I'm wrong here. I mean, we have to take action to do something. We can keep the guidelines as they are. My understanding is we can amend these guidelines whenever we want. We're not locked in for 2 years. It can be amended, but we have to take some action today. So non-action there would equate with we would just approve the same guidelines or the guidelines as they've been. That would, but that would require us to give the general assistance more money than we budgeted them for, earlier. And remember, we have to be clear about this. The guideline changes we were talking about today from Ms. Seawick is because of the budget that we approved GA, which was, she asked for an amount that would have kept GA solvent with the guidelines as they are this year going into the future. So she's here because of decisions that we all voted for as a board, and that's not blaming anybody. That's me and all of us. So I want to make clear what she's doing something because of us, not the other way around. So we would have to, I don't know and forgive me, I've been on this board for a year, maybe I should know the budget mechanism that we would need to give her more money, but either in my opinion, we either need to keep them as they are, supplement their budget for the year so that they're solvent for the year, because the demand has increased so much, or adopt the guidelines, that we've worked through for the last few weeks. That would be my opinion. I am, as I said here today, comfortable going either of those routes. I don't know what the board's appetite is.
I'll take a quick round just to, again, thank everyone for their work. I know it's been not just, especially for Director Seawick, not just 2 weeks of work or a month, but this is something you've thought about for quite a while now in regards to how these rules could be amended or revised a bit. But as mentioned, the desire is not to drastically reduce the amount of people that we are helping, because it will remain the most robust, comprehensive, and giving general assistance program in the state of Nebraska for sure, potentially in the nation. So we are a leader in general assistance at the county level, even with the proposed guidelines that you are proposing. I think at the same time you are trying to be a good steward of the funds that are under your department, and you're also trying to strategically forecast future years in expenses, funding, and if you can remain within budget, which is, of course, part of your job as the department head and budget manager at a high level of your department. And so I'm personally supportive of the proposed rules and the work you've invested into these rules while maintaining a high level of assistance to our community still, even with the proposed rules. And of course, we maintain a strong priority for those who are disabled, those who are trying to get on Social Security benefits, those who are in that kind of process and need assistance. And so can you briefly describe those individuals? We're going to still be able to assist them for a pretty extensive amount of time. Is that correct? And could you give me a little bit of detail there?
Yeah, so anybody who is able to provide a medical statement from a licensed physician and they follow through with their application with Social Security and meet other guide requirements that they are already, will be able to maintain eligibility on our program, and we would be able to assist them with rental assistance while they're pending Social Security until the final outcome of that application, or if their disability improves and they are able to become employed themselves. And there isn't a timeline on that because we recognize that sometimes it goes quickly and sometimes it can take years. We see that all the time. And so that's where we also, help our clients and remind them to appeal. We connect them with legal aid as well to help with those applications if they don't already have a lawyer. But that could be years that they are still on our program while they're going through that process.
And the fact that there's no limit on that still, even with the proposed rules, I think is very generous. We know a lot of nonprofit programs might have like cutoff at 1 month or 3 months or 6 months. For us, as long as they can still verify that they're in the process of their appeal or trying to get that Social Security benefit, we will continue assisting them. Is that the case?
Yes.
Okay. Even under the proposed rules?
Yes.
Okay. And so we know there's not an abundance of outliers under the next question I'm going to ask you, but under the current rules, there are some individuals that have been on the program for like 10 plus years, receiving like rental assistance and stuff like that.
Yes.
And some of them have been what is categorized as like able-bodied or able to work and whatnot.
Yes.
Okay. And so we're trying to provide a little bit of parameter there. Obviously, even for people who are able-bodied, we all go through fluxes in budgets and job changes, and sometimes we need assistance in life. And so that's totally fine. We're just trying to put a little bit of parameter around that so it doesn't become an outlier of 10 plus years for somebody who is able to work, but rather the assistance is there when you need it, when you're in transition, and it's going to continue to be there even under the proposed rules. Let me go to Commissioner Rogers.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I am, I guess I'll kind of wait and see what happens because in looking at the 2 weeks, I just couldn't find a way around this. I'm very hesitant about it. But what my request is can you work on some, I'd like to see some regular monthly feel about how it's developing in this new process. I don't know what that report is, but I would like to see something monthly to kind of get a gauge on it, to keep up with it, to kind of keep a running track to know if there's something happens that needs to plan in the 2-year period to change or not. I understand the gravity of the change, but the thing I've been trying to work through my head is, do I just let this pass, or do I support it, and with the pay of last resort? And I've been kind of trying to balance out being the payer of last resort and having a budget limit, because if we're the payer of last resort and you budget this and you get this extreme demand that comes, do we still need to meet that point by state statute? Because the point I keep working through my head is you're not one of the 5 that's in the exemption piece. You're under the lid. And the point is, if you were to go over an amount because of the statute, I'm assuming we have to meet your demand because you're the payer of last resort, which means we have to take from other places that aren't under the lid. That's just the thing I've been trying to work through my head the last 2 weeks, but I know I would like to report to get an idea where things are at. And, I'm inclined to support wherever Commissioner Borgeson and Fahey go with the extension, but I got some concerns, but I don't have a legitimate reason not to try to see what's what, but I would like to get and I keep saying this, a monitoring of how this is going.
I can absolutely provide that, and then I can shoot you an email to see kind of what we're thinking to provide, like stuff we've provided to you guys in the past, and then anything additional that anybody would have, we can absolutely provide you a monthly or quarterly report.
Appreciate it.
Let me go to Commissioner Kavanaugh.
Thank you. We talked last week about this rent assistance adjustment, and correct me if I'm wrong, if I'm reading this correctly, on page 35, under residential unit, the maximum shelter allowance shall be $850 per month. And what's the difference between that and what we had last year?
Our current rent that we're able to, or the maximum shelter assistance, is $800 for a single individual. And
I'm sorry, I'm having difficulty hearing you.
for a single individual, currently it's up to $800 per month that we're able to pay for shelter assistance, and we are looking to increase it to $850 per month.
Okay, so this year, this would say a flat $850 for everyone?
For a single individual, as I talked about 2 weeks ago, a married couple is eligible for a $100 utility stipend if their utilities are, exceed that $800. Their rent plus utilities exceed that $800, and so we are looking to just go to a flat for all individuals, whether they're single or married, go from $800 to $850 per month.
Okay, so it's $850 for a single individual, yes?
Yes.
Maximum?
Yes, we're looking to do $850 period. That's our proposal, is $850 per month, whether you're single or you are married.
Okay, and was it a different amount if you were married last year?
You were potentially eligible for an additional $100 utility stipend, so potentially $900 per month, a married couple.
Last year was $950?
Well, this current year, yes.
Okay, I'm just trying to be clear. Will a married couple be able to get $950 again this year?
No, it is a flat $850 that we are
Okay,
proposing.
that was my point. We're reducing the maximum available rental assistance from $950 for a married couple to $850.
The maximum a married couple would be eligible for now is $900 total, not $950.
Okay.
I get what you're saying. I was just clarifying.
I'm just trying to be clear so if the public is watching, they can get an idea of what the maximum was and is.
Well, the maximum as of today, under the 2024 to 2025 guidelines, that a married couple is eligible for is $900. Our
Okay.
proposal for 26, 27 for all individuals, whether they're married or not, is $850.
Okay. So it's a maximum reduction of $50 of
Potentially
$50?
$50 for a married couple,
Yeah,
yes.
okay. On the next page, there is a maximum shelter allowance shall be $600. Now, just so people know, what's the difference between this rental allowance and the shelter allowance?
It's a shelter allowance.
What's the difference between the rental allowance on page 35 and the shelter allowance on page 36?
Okay, so they're all considered shelter allowance, and we have different categories. So we have a residential unit, we have a shared living or boarding room, and so the $600 that you're talking about would fit under that category of shared living or a boarding room. And so that would be if I am renting a room in my house to my brother, and my brother is on general assistance, he would be eligible for $600, or I would be eligible as landlord to get $600. If I have an apartment of my own and I'm on general assistance, or if I'm in a roommate situation, we're both renting, both of our names are on the lease, then you're eligible for up to $850 under our proposal.
Okay, I have a couple more.
All right. We can come back. Let me go to Commissioner Rogers.
Melissa, give me, just answer, I mean, I don't know if it happens or not. End of the month, the Affordable Care Act premiums go away. Could you have people coming in for general assistance for medical care, or would that not be a scenario that would happen?
No, we don't have anything with medical, and all of our clients that are eligible for general assistance are eligible for Medicaid based on their income requirements. And so the people who are eligible for Medicaid are still eligible for Medicaid and don't have any impacts other than the job training requirements that are.
So do you see a scenario where, and I don't know how premiums work, but say they have these premiums, the premiums go away. Because of the premiums, they try to go to Medicaid. And because of the Medicaid changes that are coming down from the Fed, that comes to us. Could that change put them back in general assistance like they used to be before the days of Medicaid expansion, Affordable Care Act? Is there a scenario where that possibility could happen?
So anybody that has income greater than our maximum shelter allowance is not eligible for GA. So for somebody who would be paying self-pay for and not eligible for Medicaid, their income and resources would be considered in excess of our standards, and so they would not be eligible. As far as the question with if somebody is currently eligible for Medicaid and for whatever reason they're no longer eligible for Medicaid, that goes back to what we discussed, and that is in state statute that due to their own actions or inactions, if they're not eligible for Medicaid, then they're not eligible for general assistance. And that is in our guidelines, but that comes directly from state statute. So a person not receiving Medicaid or not being eligible for Medicaid because they didn't complete the job training requirements or didn't comply with some other requirement of theirs doesn't mean then that the county has to pick it up. It's this person is eligible because they didn't do their hours or check a box or sign something in time. That does not mean that the county is responsible. And that I know is brought up that that's just in our guidelines, but that is directly in state statute where it talks about that.
So we currently, the way of person goes to the emergency room. I think the scenario we used to, person goes to the emergency room, they get service. The hospital will talk to us, and we sometimes could end up paying some of those costs.
That
There's
does
no
not
scenario
happen.
where we used to?
That does not
I thought we used to
happen.
do that.
We used to, but
So
since
that doesn't happen
That does
anymore.
not happen at all because instead of having that social worker at the hospital come to us and help them apply with us, they're helping them if they're not already on Medicaid or have some type of insurance. They're helping them go that route. But
Okay.
we do not do anything with medical at all since the
So
expansion.
that backdoor route is eliminated?
We
Okay.
do not. Yes.
All right, thanks.
We go to Commissioner Kavanaugh.
So just a few more of these numbers so people will know what's available. we went over the rental assistance, which is, I rent an apartment, I can get up to $850 in rental assistance. If I go to my brother Brian's house, he can get up to $600 for renting a room to me, or at a boarding house. The mortuary payments for burial seem to have a maximum payment of $1,156. I'm looking at page 44.
Yes.
And that is a maximum payment, but on page 45, we have a burial payment that seems to be $1,870. And I know there's cremation options and burial options here. I'm just trying to get a clear view for the public of what is the maximum payment for a burial or the maximum payment for a cremation.
The numbers that you just stated. And the only time we do burials, it's when we are told it's due to legal considerations. So if it is a Jane or John Doe, and it is that they cannot cremate the body, then that is when a burial is done. I have been at the department for almost 16 years, and we have never done a burial my entire time. So cremation is what we've been paying, and the maximum we can pay for a cremation is $1,156.
So, for instance, if I had a religious prohibition against cremation, which actually in my church going back there was, I don't think it exists anymore, would that qualify me for burial over cremation?
From my understanding, no. And that, again, is my understanding from prior to me becoming an employee with General Assistance. But that was taken out, that there's no religious anything about that in there.
Okay, what would be an example of a legal consideration that would indicate a burial over cremation?
Like I just said, is like if there was a Jane or John Doe and the police or sheriff's department or attorneys contacted us and said that there has been Jane or John Doe, obviously there's no next of kin that have been identified, and to ask that it be buried in case it needed, or due to the criminal case that it potentially needed to be exhumed at a later date. Those are the examples that I've been given over the years. But again, we've not encountered that in my almost 16 years in the county.
I'm glad to hear Commissioner Fahey talking about this, having the ability to go back and maybe adjust some of these during the year might be a good thing. We don't know where the economy is going, and these folks are right on the edge to begin with, particularly with the rental assistance at $850, which is a reduction for a couple from last year. I think that we got some information from the people in the housing sector last week, a week before, that indicated that that's right on the bubble of what a minimum rent in Douglas County would be. So we might want to come back to that and make sure that it's competitive with what's available. I don't know why we would, reduce it in this category, but it's something we should probably reconsider going forward. Are any of these others reductions over last year that we talked about?
The only reduction, I guess you could say, is that for a person that's considered able-bodied, that they'll be the 3-month maximum assistance annually, versus now a person can be on the program indefinitely as long as they're complying with the program and meeting the income and resource restrictions.
Thank you.
Let me go to Commissioner Fahey.
I do briefly want to make a point. So just to be clear for everybody watching, as Commissioner Cavan is always good at sort of that edification piece. What we're talking about is that we are talking about imposing certain limits that don't exist in the current guidelines. I do also want to point out that Director Seawick, some of these guideline changes that are more no-brainer. They are going to make their administration easier. It's going to streamline some of the process and let our dollars go farther. So I do want to also just point out there are some maybe less notable changes that we're making in the guidelines that are also going to be beneficial, and I should give voice to that.
Thank you. Other comments or questions during this public hearing?
If I may, Teresa, York County Attorney's Office, a couple of times folks asked, like, me to chime in, so I'm not sure that I should, but I just want to say that Melissa's correct. You should act today. You should do something. You have to review these at least every 2 years. The statute says shall you review every 2 years. You're up against that. So the board should take some sort of action today with regards to the guidelines. And I just wanted to make sure that that was clear.
Thank you. Other comments or questions from board or public?
First, I do have a handout with some alternatives. Public speaking. Just pretend I'm talking to you, Mary. Well, good morning, commissioners. My name is Summer Lewis. I am a proud resident of Douglas County. Today, I speak not for any group, but as a neighbor, an affordable housing advocate, someone who has faced housing insecurity, and as a person of faith. First, I do want to thank you for proposing to raise the shelter assistance to $850 a month. This is necessary. This is a step towards aligning with fair market rents and the raising rents in our community, which is closer to the economic reality. The proposed cuts to general assistance, however, risk fundamentally undermining the program by creating rigid, counterproductive barriers. I know this is no fault of the administration of GA. They're just working with the budgetary constraints they were given. But I do want to speak on why it is so important to keep these program guidelines as they are while we troubleshoot some alternatives. So the least of our brethren in our community, the most vulnerable of our population, are not inadvertently harmed. I do believe that able-bodied requirement the proposal limits able-bodied clients to only 3 months of aid annually for short-term crisis stabilization. This fails to acknowledge that indigence where poverty is often caused by persistent systemic failures, not just short-term crises. Nearly half of Omaha area renters are burdened. A rigid 90-day limit is insufficient for overcoming these systemic issues and risks prematurely removing financial stability. Instead, I urge you to adopt a needs-based extension model, allowing extensions based on verifiable job-seeking compliance and documentation of ongoing systemic barriers. And I would propose that the party that could verify this needs-based would not just be limited to medical professionals, but also nonprofit organizations that work directly with these individuals. The level of trauma some of these people have experienced, it's quite different. It's very difficult to tell if they are able-bodied, like physically able-bodied, or if it is severe and persistent mental illness that we just simply don't have the resources to address in our community. And finally, for those disabled neighbors, the new rules increase the administrative burden by requiring Social Security applications and appeals. Clients approved for SSDI face a statutory 5-month waiting period before benefits even begin. A crucial gap that GA is vital to bridge. To manage this efficiently and compassionately, I urge the Commission to mandate a collaboration with SOAR, SSI, SSDI outreach, access, and recovery programs. This leverages specialized services to ensure successful appeals and quickly transition clients to federal benefits. And I urge you to consider Commissioner Borgensen and Fahey's proposal and keeping the guidelines as they are, and maybe returning in 2 months to, and the supplementary budget, of course, to continue the program going throughout this fiscal year. Yes.
Thank you. Other comments or questions from board or public? Commissioner Borgeson?
No,
Oh,
no questions. Do you
okay.
mean in general or?
During the public hearing, otherwise we'll close the public hearing and see what the will of the board is.
Okay, then I'll hold off till all the
Cool.
public speaks. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I thought it was just us.
Yeah, anybody, board or public?
But I want to thank you for showing up.
I worked
For her.
directly with a lot of these people.
Or-
Oh, yeah, sorry. Yeah.
Summer Lewis,
Yes, sir.
are you with the county, Summer?
No, sir. I come here today just as a neighbor and community member, as an advocate. I have professional experience, both having worked on the front lines in homeless services here in Nebraska, in Omaha. I've also been employed as a property manager, and I am also a person with lived experience of homelessness myself. So I'm just very passionate about our community.
We appreciate it, and thanks for your work. You've done some extensive research on this, obviously.
Yes, and I do want to thank GA's employees today for all of their work. I know their job is not hard. It is not easy. I mean, it is not easy at all. Gosh, sorry, I'm nervous. Yeah, and they really. I was a part of the efforts for the City View apartments. That was something I hope to never see again. But they really pulled out the impossible with rehousing as many folks as they did.
That's great. I have a couple of specific questions on your alternative guidelines to achieve program goals.
Yes, sir.
These are kind of like suggestions that you're making of
Human-based, yeah, like from the social services aspect of it, not anything budgetary.
Right. One of these has to do with what we were just talking about. Increase shelter assistance while protecting non-shelter aid. And you indicate here, adopt the proposed shelter increase to $850. It's not an increase, as you heard.
Yeah, it's not really
actually-
a true increase, and I would like it higher, but $850 is a good
I understand.
compromise.
And, you heard our discussion about maybe maintaining the 900 for a couple level going forward. But when you were doing your research on this particular component, were you able to get like a minimum local rental number?
I was not that number, and me being okay with the $850 comes from my direct experience working with trying to house and rehouse folks
Right.
who currently have those shelter assistance vouchers. I will tell you the stock of housing units in this community that meet minimum health and safety standards and are underneath that amount there are very, very, very slim, especially for the folks that utilize this shelter assistance who have high barriers to housing, low credit, prior evictions,
Right,
criminal
right.
history.
And we struggle with that because availability is one thing, and then price, of course, is the other one.
Mhm.
And that's why we were talking about this being flexible. On the 850 is, like I said, it's right on the line, and I don't know if that's.
I think it would still be enough, $850 like per person per month. With a higher, I would suggest
Right.
keeping it slightly higher for a married couple because they would
I have one
consume more
other.
utilities together.
I'm an old Social Security lawyer, and so when you were talking about the efficiently managed disabled client awaiting SSA, that kind of caught my attention because the wait period for Social Security disability benefits has grown larger and larger as the federal government, particularly this administration, has seen fit to eliminate jobs in the Social Security Administration that help people get their benefits. So there's a longer and longer waiting period to get a decision
Mhm.
from SSA. And this indicates that mandate a collaboration with Social Security Outreach, Access, and Recovery.
Yes, sir.
Beyond something that we currently have, because I think we urge our
We do have a
clients to
couple-
go and seek their disability benefits.
Yes, we
currently.
do. There are a couple of community organizations that do offer SOAR programs, a direct referral from Douglas County General Assistance to Together or to Community Alliance for, SOAR access would be
Okay.
excellent. And then that way they could also follow up on the completion of that referral.
This would also go to maybe increasing, and we're out of time here, the amount of time that we give for a grace period, because not due to anything of the claimants, under the claimant's power, the wait period has grown larger.
Yes, sir.
Thanks for doing this.
Yeah, no, thank you so much for listening to me today. And I'm happy to answer any of the questions you have.
Thank you.
Melissa Seawick, Director of GA. I just wanted to clarify, it was mentioned that there can be sometime like 5-month delay in a person actually getting their like back pay or to get their Social Security payment. We do not, the second somebody is approved, they don't get kicked off general assistance now, and they will not. We wait till they actually are getting the check. So again, we wait till then. It's not just approval. And then that the fair market rent for an efficiency unit is $990 in Douglas County. And then again, we do refer to different organizations, but staffing for all of the organizations, they have weight limits or wait list, and it's not as easy as that, but we are always looking to work with other community agencies and get our clients resources, no matter what that looks like.
Thank you. Let me get her from the public.
Sorry, there was on Ms. Lewis. There's something I'd like to ask. Not of Ms. Lewis. She's fine. I just wrote to Ms. Seawick regarding something.
Oh, Ms. Seawick. Okay.
So, I do thank Ms. Lewis for this helpful, thoughtful document she prepared, in her words. So this is immensely helpful, and I'm grateful for it. One thing, though, I do want to have you comment on is you look at page 2 under the exclusionary. I don't want people to draw from the first bullet point on page 2 under number 1. Here. Regarding the current shelter expense requirement, because the data is very thoughtful. I just don't want someone to draw from the wrong conclusion that we are proposing eliminating 47% or close to half of the people currently on GA from GA, starting in January with the new guidelines.
That is correct. And that's one of the things that we need to talk through internally is any clients that are currently, that are on the program, what does that look like for them in the future months, and preparing them and giving them adequate time to get those medical statements, any of those things. Like I said before, that we have, based on the numbers of our clients who have medical statements or have declared a medical ailment and not, that can totally change based on these requirements. And if they know, like, I have to get this thing in order to get, ongoing assistance, that we might have, 70% of our clients might have medical statements and might be pending Social Security. So that can happen, and that is also, I think, very likely. And so that's why when numbers have been asked in the past of what is this going to look like, we don't know. Just like we don't know year to year based on the economy what our program is going to look like.
Thank you. Let me go here.
Hello, I'm Linda Toomey. I'm the Executive Director of Sienna Francis House, and I'm here today to speak in support of the proposal by Melissa and Arjun. We work very closely with General Assistance. Sienna Francis House serves over 3,200 individuals annually. We serve the community's most vulnerable, and I'm just going to add some data to some of the discussion that's been talked about here today. Of those 3,200 individuals we serve, 70% of them are eligible for Medicaid or coming in with Medicaid and have Medicaid eligibility. We also, in addition to being a direct service provider, are a landlord, and we accept general assistance in our units. And we also provide supportive services to those individuals who are receiving general assistance while they're in our units. So some of the other things that we do in our partnership with general assistance is we help with utility and deposit assistance for individuals who are holding vouchers and working with the general assistance team to get housed up. So we all know there's hard times and hard decisions to be made about budgets right now and keeping the safety nets for individuals. This proposal by General Assistance allows us to keep the safety net for our most disabled neighbors who need it the most. So that's why we're in support of it. It would increase the rents for single individuals. As a landlord, we are receiving up to $800. Under this proposal, we would be receiving $850. For the same units at this time, we are receiving, I had someone send me this, $961 and $1150. So we're not a for-profit landlord. That doesn't matter as much to us. We want to cash flow so we can continue to provide housing to individuals. But we think that this proposal is the best proposal given the situation at hand in front of you all today, and support it.
Thank you for being here and for presenting. You have, there was a couple minutes left on her time if anybody had questions for her. Yeah.
I'm sorry, your name again?
Linda Toomey.
Linda, thanks for all you do. You guys are really a key part of this community, and you're doing great. Specifically, relative to this rent question, you know, we've played around with this, going from 800 to 900, and where the line is in terms of available things. As a landlord, are you reimbursed for the maximum level at the 850 level? What are you reimbursed?
The 850 is in the proposed new, so
Okay.
we are being reimbursed at 800 currently.
You're currently reimbursed at the 800.
Yes, up to
Okay.
800.
So this would be a modest increase. In light of the fact that you do not take couples, is that?
We do not. All of our housing is dedicated to single individuals.
Okay. And did I hear you right? Your costs there are in excess of that number?
I didn't mention that our costs were in excess of that number. What I said is we're not trying to make a profit. Our goal is to cash flow. So certainly additional rents would help us cash flow. There are times where we may delay some minor maintenance things based on our budgets and receivables. But you know, any increases in rent would certainly be helpful to us as a landlord and the other landlords. I think that's a challenge facing general assistance is because our case managers work with individuals who are in shelter. They're holding shelter assistance vouchers. They're helping them conduct housing searches. They're faced with a limited number of landlords who will accept up to the current rents and probably the new rents, knowing that they could take a Section 8 voucher from the Housing Authority and receive $100 to $200 more. Actually, the one was $1,150, so that would be $300 more.
Where would that difference come from?
If you had a Section 8 voucher, and a Section 8 voucher was
On top
paying the
of-
same, no, just was paying the same rents.
Oh, I see.
So-
Instead of this,
Yes.
you would have a Section 8 voucher.
Well, you could have a Section 8 voucher if you could get one. They're in high demand. I'm just using that to illustrate a point. You have a Douglas County General Assistance voucher or a Shelter Assistance voucher, as we're referring it to. And if I were holding a Section 8 voucher for one of our units, that Section 8 voucher today would be paying $961, and those are in our SRO units. And for our cottages, which are very small units, that same Section 8 voucher would be paying $1,150.
Okay. I gotta go to Commissioner Morgan in the queue here.
I want to be sure about the budget. If there is a change in the budget, I want to defer to Lori and be cautious because I think there's a legality if we're trying to change a budget at this time. And Teresa may chime in, but Lori.
Lori Persh, CFO for Douglas County. I actually just was talking with Patrick, who had just talked with Melissa. I think some of these changes will help them to stay. I mean, it's hard to say because we don't have a crystal ball here and what utilization will be, but to stay within their budget. If we don't make these changes at the current parameters, they will burn through their budget faster and will most certainly need a supplement. This doesn't guarantee that they won't need a supplement, but this will help them to get through the end of the year.
So this should help
Yes.
with the budget.
Yes.
Very good. Thank you. Lori Persh is our finance director, and that's why I asked her to speak. And thank you.
Yes, and I appreciate the question because it wasn't marked on the agenda request, the budget impact, so I understand, I had the same
That's helpful.
concerns.
Other questions or comments during the public hearing from board or public? If not, I will close the public hearing, or maybe not yet. Oh, sorry, Commissioner Borgeson, I didn't see your light.
So
Melissa, if you could, because my questions were going to be focused, and maybe it's Lori and you together answering this, but where are we currently with the budget? So we would be out of money by February, whatever. What's your best guess? I'm not going to hold you to it, but your best guess.
Best case scenario, I think April.
I'm sorry?
Best case scenario, probably about April, I would say, based on our current like rental projections. Like I've stated in the past, our direct client services are where we're exceeding our budget. Administrative area, so payroll, all of that, we are actually under budget.
Right.
And so that's also assuming that that will still remain under and we can rob Peter to pay Paul, like we've done in the past. So, and I did misspeak at the last board meeting where it was asked how much money that we returned last fiscal year. I was correct in the 97%, but I said like $400,000 and it wasn't. It was just over $100,000 that we returned.
So if we made these changes or didn't make these changes, if we made the changes, we would make it to the end of the fiscal year potentially. We don't know for sure, but potentially. And if there was a supplemental needed, it would, if the changes are made, it would just be a lesser amount if the changes were made versus not changed.
Absolutely. I will 100% need a supplement if these changes are not, or some type of changes are not adopted.
And what would that amount, your supplemental amount would be again, what?
Based on rent alone, it's over $500,000 easily. Best case scenario.
Okay. So again, I just want to be clear. My comments were not in saying the review didn't happen with your staff. It's this board. And this is pretty much the same every year or every 2 years. You know, we bring it about this time, but we haven't had this big of changes to the guidelines in my tenure as we did this time around, and I completely understand why they're being brought. But my discomfort is, and especially with the line of questioning today, and people aren't going to like it, but with increases that we've shelled out as a board, to not only salaries but budgets. We, again, did it without a blink of the eye, except for when it comes to, in my opinion, things that we normally have not had to increase in the past because there's always been, the need hasn't been as great. Now we see the need increasing, and I am just very uncomfortable with that need increasing and us making adjustments without fully understanding and fully vetting what the repercussions would be of our actions. It has nothing to do with you and your staff. It's the board. And so I'm still trying to struggle what temporarily would help. Is it, originally I wanted to extend it from 3 months to 6 months. Then it was, you know, talking about the lifetime, taking that off. But I'm just not sure. I'm struggling, and this is the first time in my history that I've struggled as much with this decisions as I am right now. And so I'm just trying to figure dollars versus, you know, I'm out of time.
Want to finish your thought real quick?
Well, I'm just trying to figure out what my amendment should be, if I should proceed with the 3 months, changing it from 3 months to 6 months. Should I take off the lifetime? There aren't. Okay, so those are, we don't even have to consider that.
There's no lifetime limits on our program right now. All of that was taken out before our HHS committee. So it's just for the able body, it's the 3 month annually. And then again, as long the medically disabled individual is eligible for ongoing assistance. So there are no lifetime limits.
Okay, so then my last question would be, from the 3 months to the 6 months, what's your best guess, either you or Lori, in what that potential supplement amount would be?
If it would go to 6 months, that would be from January to July, and so, or January to June. And so, again, I would need a supplement, and if it's based on current predictions that we have, it's going to be at least $500,000 is what we're looking at, just rent alone. And then, I mean, it will be a cost savings because it is six months over 12 months. But again, I can't predict what that would look like, but I will need supplemental for this upcoming, or to get through this fiscal year. And then I will need additional, I would be requesting again, more funds for fiscal year 26, 27.
Right.
Because what we have now is not going to cut it.
Right.
Yeah. Because I would only briefly add that it's not just about surviving the remainder of this fiscal year, but trying to plan years in advance.
Correct.
We don't want to be in this scenario every single year. Mr. Fahey, if you want to give closing remarks of some kind? Okay. Because, yeah, we have some at 3 rounds already. Any final comments or questions from board or public? I think as soon as we close it, we can take action, yeah. So I'll go ahead and close the public hearing on this item, and now we can take action from anybody with a light. You?
Mr. Chair, I would move to approve, to allow the amendment to happen.
3 to 6 months.
Okay, approve the proposed guidelines with the only amendment being that the 3 months would become 6 months.
I would make an amendment, or offer an amendment to change the guideline from a 3-month to a 6-month at this juncture.
And everything else in the proposed guidelines remain the same. Okay, first let me get a second.
Second.
From Rogers. Motion by Borgeson to accept the guidelines with the only amendment being the limit of 3 months stated in the proposal would go to 6 months. There's a motion second on the table with that amendment, and I think Commissioner Morgan had a comment.
My question will be, wouldn't that create the need for more of a supplement budget at the end of the year? And that's concerning to me, because I think we're going to face some other things with the assessor's office, a softer market in residential real estate, and so on, and put us in a pretty tough position. And Lori, you feel free to correct me about that. But
26, 27.
Well, I do agree that moving it from 3 to 6 months will increase the amount that we need to expend, so that could possibly increase the likelihood that they would need a supplement. But there are other measures going in place, like that, that might, counteract that,
And I'm
offset
sorry to
that.
put you
Sorry.
on the spot to ask that. But
No,
I think
it's a good valid
important to
point.
note
Yeah, if you move it from 3 to
what
6
we're
months.
doing, at this point.
Dr. Sievek, quick point of clarification. The 3 to 6 month provision that's in the proposal, is that for those who are considered able-bodied and able to work? And that's the only demographic that it affects, right? Okay, just clarifying that. And then also additional clarification under the current/outgoing rules, if we can call it that, there currently is no limit. Is that the case? Okay, got it. Let me go back to the motion in a second. Other comments or questions on what's on the table?
Mr. Chair, just so I'm clear that I have the motion correct, so just approve as presented with an amendment to extending the 3-month provision to a 6-month provision. Is that fair, or is that not how you want me to say it?
For
able bodies, okay.
Correct. Other comments or questions before we vote? All right, let's go ahead and vote.
Okay, thank you. Motion passes. Commissioner Morgan voting no, other commissioners voting yes.
Okay, thank you, Director Seawick, and everyone who worked on this. We're going to go ahead. I think we just did, yeah. With the change, yeah. So we're good. Yep. Yes.
Begin to review these in more thoroughness immediately.
There's a committee that oversees GA, so we can definitely do that through committee if the.
Thank you.
Duick,
Thank you.
to ensure that we start this process ahead of the budgeting process, not this coming year, but the following year, when we'll need to, unless we want to make further amendments in the intermediacy. Right, yeah. And I know I said this 2 weeks ago, but the last thing I want to say is just to reiterate that we are 1 week behind where we would have been.
It's not your fault.
Well, I know, but I moved it another week back for my own work on it. So I do want to be clear about why we're here today at the last meeting of the year. So that's all I'll say. And yeah, thanks everybody.
Thank you. We'll advance on our agenda here to committees. Under Finance, we have the budget report as presented. Under Health and Human Services, we did have one resolution approving MOU with Nebraska Department of Veterans Affairs for the Douglas County Veterans Service Office to continue the use of VetraSpec system to process benefit claims for veterans and their dependents. Do I have a motion and second for that resolution? Motion approved by Rogers. Any seconds? I'll go ahead and second that one myself. You're fine. I know Director Elmore has been patiently waiting here today. Did you want to add anything or good? Okay. In that case, any comments or questions on this resolution? If not, we can vote.
Motion passes 6-0.
Thank you. Under Human Resources, we had our weekly personnel report from Civil Service also as presented. Just a quick reminder, the board will be on recess during the holidays. We will return on Tuesday, January 6th for the first meeting of the year in 2026. With that, we have need for executive session for just one item, which is contract negotiations. So I have a motion and a second. Motion by Rogers, second by Morgan to go into executive session. Please vote.
Motion passes 6-0.
The board will now go into executive session for the purpose of contract negotiations.
Motion to reconvene and adjourn by Commissioner Borgeson, second by Commissioner Rogers. Motion passes 6-0. We're adjourned at 11:55 a.m.